Welcome back to Nuts and Bolts Garage. Got a carburetor tip for all you guys out there with mini bikes and go-karts. This aftermarket carburetor that I purchased had an O-ring that went inside the carburetor, recessed down in there. And then, of course, with the intake adapter that bolts down to it. This is such a critical fit that it's just almost impossible to make it work out. That if you move it just a hair one way or the other, you're out of luck. It's going to suck air and it's not going to run right. I've had it happen to me a couple of times with the vibration on a mini bike and it coming loose just a little bit. I mean, God, just a hair to where the carburetor slid down a hair on the intake adapter and it wasn't running right. And it took me a little while to figure out what was going on. But so anyway, what I did was I picked up this Motoseal gasket maker. It's fuel resistant. I filled the void where the O-ring goes and I let that set up and actually get somewhat hard. And I just applied some more to the intake. Before I did all of this, I clocked the intake and I made a mark on it that you can see, hopefully you can see. It's a little line right there. And I've got a line on the carburetor. So when I put this on, and I cinch it down, the carburetor is not going to be sitting to the left or to the right. It's going to be level. So here's the trick now to get this on here without messing it all up. Because now, and I wish I could show you this, but it's a very critical alignment on the inside. And wow, that's pretty much... I can't believe I just dropped it on there and it's right on the money. But if I would have did that with the O-ring is actually, it's actually slightly too thick. And I've worked with O-rings before. When you go to cinch it down, it always moved. It always moved. It was very difficult to hold it into place. And it was like just such like rocket science just to bolt this thing together. I figured, you know what? Before I even think about replacing what I've got here, I'm going to go ahead and take this approach. And of course, the biggest thing was getting something that was fuel resistant. So I'm going to let this cure for a couple of minutes. I'm going to check it again. Yeah, I can't believe I just got that like right on the money. Lucky me, right? Just to make sure the bolt holes do line up. Wow, so that was beautiful. We're going to give it a few minutes and we'll tighten it up and get it back on the bike, and that's going to be the end of that from what I'm gathering. So see what we got. Okay, so I did let this cure up. I let it dry for quite a while, actually, overnight to be exact, and I also had hit it several times with the heat gun to just encourage it to cure up and get nice and hard and, you know, get a good seal. So we're going to stick this back on the bike, fire it up and see how it runs, you know. So without further ado, let's get it going on. Come over to the bike and I got to just adjust this, so bear with me for a moment. Yeah, I had tightened this up really good. It didn't move. So that's a plus. And hopefully this problem will be over with. You know, there was another option. I could have actually used JB Weld, as crazy as that sounds. You know, I could have just made this intake piece a permanent structure of the carburetor. JB Weld is gas and oil proof. But I went with this other stuff, and we'll see how it goes. I don't recommend this type of setup at all. It's just, in my opinion, it's just not the way to go. There's other carburetors that are set up much better than this, where your adapter is basically like this, but the back of the carburetor also has like this pipe extension. And it's almost like a miniature radiator hose with double clamps that joins the two together. And I don't think anybody's having problems with that. It's a pretty good setup. When I got this, I really didn't know too much about what I was doing. I got it and I put it on, and in the beginning I got really lucky with it, and it worked good for a little while. And then the bike wasn't running so good, and I was like, what's going on with the bike, you know? And like I had mentioned, it took me a while. You know, I had to go through a whole process of troubleshooting, and you know, lo and behold, I was like, oh yeah, look at that. You know, the carburetor had slid downward just a hair. And so I had, like, you know, ever so slight gap with the O-ring, not sealing, and that's why it was running cruddy. So I don't recommend this type of intake. And in fact, I could even provide a link at the end of the video of the carburetor setup that I'm talking about. You know, and even if you just Google it, performance carburetors for 196cc or whatever you got, they'll come right up, and you'll see what I'm talking about. They'll have these with all these different fancy colors, which is nice, you know, whatever. But, you know, it's the application, you know. If it's going to be a problem, you don't want it, you know. You don't have to keep fiddling with this thing, playing with the carburetor and taking it apart. And, you know, what good is that? You want to ride the thing and go have some fun, right? That's what it's all about. So, anyway, it's leaking gas. Well, let's get that shoved on there right away. All right. Okay. Need a clipper snipper. I had that zippy tied out of the way. I got this bad boy back on there. All right. A little stabilization. Little moat. Okay. So that's tight. That's cool. Bop, 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 bop. And vent and runoff tube. We got to stick on there. And of course, the air filter. And we should be copacetic. Right? Right. All right. So we run these over down in here. That was my choice. And this goes over here. The bike's pretty clean right now. If you're working with a dirty bike, you know, just make sure you're not getting a bunch of crud and crap in there. Not that it really matters that much, but if you do get any runoff, you do want it to exit properly. Okay, I need a little needleization there. Squeeze that clamp. This is not the greatest position. I should have not put that in first, but it was leaking. So, but not a big deal. We'll get it on there. All right. Okay. Yeah, no, that's good. All right, cool. Stick the air cleaner back on. La 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 la. Air cleaner's on. All the way. Tighten up the clampage for proper clamping. We don't want to get that falling off. All right, there you have it. It's back together. Gas going in. No problem. All right, beautiful. I don't need no stuck float. That's happened to me before with this carburetor. I don't know. Good gas. The bike sat for, I don't know, 2 months. 2 months. And I went to go fire it up. Man, I had gas coming out of that valve cover breather like, shoo, man, it was ridiculous. Needle and seat was stuck. I don't know. Anyway, that's that. Take it outside, and we're going to fire it up, see what we got. All right, we got her outside. We got her running. Seems to be percolating nice. She ain't sucking no air right now, that's for sure. It's running good. Sounds good. Definitely happy with those results. Yeah, man. That's one hot rod Coleman right there. A little cold still, but gotta love it, right? Full of fun. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll catch you on the next one.